from which we adopted our identity. Ah! You wake up covered in sweat and out of breath. It takes you a moment to calm yourself down. The bandages feel too tight and constricting, the slightest movement of your arm causing a stinging pain to lance through your body. Worse, you're in a room you don't recognize in the slightest. The girl next to you, however, lends a helping hand to resolve your confusion and disorientation. Good morning, Sink. How are you feeling? Violet closes the notebook in her hands and places it on a nearby desk. You have many questions on the tip of your tongue, but a slender finger placed carefully on your lips stops you before you can open your mouth to ask. First things first, Rue decided to follow you after the dispute. He was the one who brought you here, though his own condition wasn't much better than yours. But if you were wondering, no, we know nothing about Fennel. Neither did we see the woman in white again. Although this was something we should have known beforehand, the possibility became clear when you were investigating the power outage, correct? It may have been our fault for not paying close enough attention. Violet opens up the shutters and light pours into the room. Now that you can see in more detail, you appear to be in the child's bedroom. The fires died down after a while. Just like Rose said, the city was designed to prevent them spreading too far. In any case, with 3 people exiled, the castle situation is... let's just say that the regulations don't make sense anymore. It is the end of life as we once knew it, so I didn't have much trouble coming back here. I think we've all accepted what was about to come, or perhaps we'd already known from the beginning. You can't even look her in the eye, racked as you are by doubt and guilt. There's only one question left to ask. Why? Violet gingerly sits down next to you, and though you find it difficult to believe, her face maintains her usual radiant smile. Why what? Why are you helping me, Violet? If we knew this was going to happen, despite all the troubles... You consider me naive or stupid, right? I don't. Tell me, Sink, which is worse, indiscriminate good or selective evil? You don't know how to answer, and Violet sighs. I may be stupid or naive, or both, Sink, but I won't leave anyone behind as long as I have that option. And what happens when you no longer have the choice? What will happen to us then? Then I'll do what I think is best. I have my own priorities too, same as everyone else. Family above friends, friends above acquaintances, acquaintances above strangers. But until that very moment comes, I won't say no to anyone. I will always look for those in need of aid, because that is how strangers become family in the first place. Just as it happened with you and all the other members of the castle. You hide your blush inside your hood, embarrassed. But what happens when you have to choose between 2 members of your own family? That's another story. Violet stands up, picking up that notebook once again. But let's forget about sentimentality for now. You need to focus on your own health. We'll continue once you feel better. No need to worry about anything else. We'll take care of you. Consider this your home. You sit up on the bed. From this position you can see what's on the other side of the window. Find a view familiar. A quiet suburb of single-family houses with their big gardens. The same view as when you went to inspect the electrical substation. Rue is sleeping in his own room next door, so knock before you go in. You know he's not a very bubbly person, especially with you here. You give a slight nod, dejected, as you hear the door open and Violet make her way out. Although just before she closes it... Wait, his room? Rue? Ah, Sink, you can be so smart for some things and so slow for others. Don't worry, you're safe here. This is Rue and I's home, after all. You and him? Yes, I get that quite a lot. No need to say it. I know nobody ever believes it at first. But then... Exactly, we're husband and wife. Did you not figure that one out already? Well, I figured it out as soon as you said... You're in his room. You're in his house. I like the points there. The more interesting thing now is, if that is true, and I assume it is true, they are married. The question is, A, did they come married before or after the disaster? Because that is something I don't remember. And I don't know if it was ever clearly stated. And, well, 2, if they became married before the disaster, that means that neither of them are Tulpa. That also means that both of them must have a Tulpa. And we only really have very few options left. We've got Fennel, who we don't know exactly who who belongs to her, who is her tulpa. Um, and then we've got Rose, which is still sort of a big wild card. And I think it's more likely that they are human and tulpa and became married afterwards. I think so, because otherwise I just can't make sense of the numbers, but I'll let myself be surprised. As the hours tick by, you start to lose track of time. Eventually, however, Violet's skill with healing magic proves itself and you're finally able to get out of bed. You exit the bedroom and carefully tiptoe down the stairs to the first floor until you reach the place that seems to be the heart of this home, the living room. So those two really lived here together. Who are you talking to? What are you laughing for? What's wrong with you? How could anything be wrong with me? And here I was getting all worried. Rue tilts his head like an owl, his expression the closest thing to perplexity you've ever seen and ever will see on that eternally deadpan face. Go wash up. Come on, there's no way we can talk the way you are right now. You seem to have woken up in a good mood. Are you happy now? Much more presentable, at least, no doubt about it. And they call me the cheeky one. Just look at this girl. You're the one who smashed any semblance of suspense to smithereens all in one fell swoop. And also, Sink. Rue stops you. He crosses his arms, his body radiating fatigue. You don't have to try so hard or Violet will get mad. No, it's not that. You raise your gaze with confidence and meet his eyes, a tender smile on your face. Thank you for saving my life. I have no idea what you're talking about. There's a short silence. He looks away first. Is Rue embarrassed? You can't help but grin even wider after that reaction. You didn't have any reason to follow me back there, but you still did. I did because I wanted to see the truth with my own eyes. Isn't the truth irrelevant compared to the peace we had? Ah, you still remember that talk at the electric substation. I won't deny part of what I said back then came from my own thoughts, beyond what the boss asked me. But Sink, you have become a new symbol. By rejecting and fighting against what was thought to be established, you have gained the newfound power to make your ideals take shape. You yourself are the leader that represents those ideals, that gives them courage and value, and consequently, this new truth of yours happens to align with my own interests. A symbol? All I did was to destroy what we built. I'm still not sure if what I did was right, or... Once broken, there is no turning back. Lies are fragile, and people require a new paradigm to lean on for support once the previous one shatters. A revolution on a small scale. It was just a matter of time before it happened. What surprised me was that you were the one to start the blaze. And yet you followed it up. Rue shrugs and looks away once again. Rue, what are those interests you mentioned? What is your aim? Rue looks at you with his usual dull eyes. At the castle he almost always ignored any attempt at conversation, but for some reason he seems much more loquacious than normal today. Truth itself does not exist. When you've been in my line of work, you end up discarding such concepts. There are as many truths as there are people in this world, and in the end you can only keep the most convenient one, no matter how ridiculous it may be. Is that part of your detective experience? I never explained, right? Yes, I am a detective, but not a regular one. I'm a military detective. In fact, I came to this castle looking for an ex-soldier. One of the good ones, too. Do you have any idea who it was? Bissell. Wow, you didn't even blink, but I suppose it makes sense, right? He wasn't lying about his job as a professor, but I'll say the man stood out much more prominently on the front lines. He was then discharged from the military, and his life after that became shrouded in mystery. That's where I come in, although I'm sorry to say there isn't much else I can tell you. You were unable to discover anything else about him? It was an important case, but then the world went to hell and all, and you know what? After investigating him, I ended up feeling a certain amount of respect for the man. Our lives are, let's say, parallel in certain ways, and I felt a sense of camaraderie between us. What kind of parallels do you mean? We fell in love with the wrong people. Rue looks to be expecting you to continue the conversation, but you can't suppress your sheer disbelief. You already knew about me and Violet, don't make that face. I still find it completely absurd. It's the truth, even if it hurts, especially in our case. Your case? You mean both you and Thistle? Rue takes a deep breath, always maintaining that poker face. We both lost our wives recently. But Violet... Yep. Violet is the tulpa. If you'd used your brain for 2 seconds, I wouldn't have had to spell it out. Violet is a tulpa. She is the image that remains in my subconscious, the memories of my wife that were left behind. You want to apologize, but you can't come up with the right words. That's why I talked about defending the piece of what we built in the castle. It's not easy to find allies in a world like this. After going through the military, you end up dividing everyone into 2 groups. One, a valuable half with an immutable truth, ready to take a bullet for the sake of some absurd ideal. The other half, made up of heartless assholes just looking for any excuse to put a bullet in someone's head. I belong to this half, in case you were wondering. You admitting it so easily is a little... Anyway, back on topic. When you have to work with that sort of scum every day, you can imagine what the truth becomes. Normal detectives already have it hard. It's never as pretty as the movies. Some asshole slices a prostitute's neck and drops her off in a random dumpster, and you have the entire city as possible suspects. No one cares about the life of that wretched girl. Your job is just to put on some dog and pony show so nobody has an excuse to take you out of the game. Then apply that among the military ranks, where the list of suspects is now composed of trained killers with all sorts of traumas and motivations. All in the middle of some chaotic conflict where they need to arrest someone before dinner, and you'd better make sure that someone isn't anyone important. In the end, some poor devil gets snapped to take the fall, even if he had nothing to do with it, just to restore order to the unit. Do not let the situation escalate, especially if it could be seen as international aggression and get used as a tool for God knows what political cause. If you can continue the work despite knowing all that, I think it's quite obvious which half of humanity you belong in. After all, the job's entire purpose is to generate whatever truth is most convenient. The truth the world wants at any price. That's why you respect the good half of the army? Good? Respect? I never said which half was the good or the bad. You picturing it like that just proves how fortunate you've been and how good the heartless assholes like me are at doing our jobs. Rue shuffles his chair backwards, something resembling a short cackle emerging from his mouth. You've seen it, even felt it yourself, Sink, what it takes to survive in this world. That hasn't changed, even with the incident. The comfort people found in their cozy little bubbles doesn't change the suffering others had to go through in order to protect those bubbles. All that happens right in front of your eyes in broad daylight, yet you don't even bother to pay attention. Or in my case, after the incident, despite knowing all that full well, I didn't want to pay attention. The man pauses in contemplation for a moment before turning his head to you. I never answered your original question, now that I think about it. You're not very good at giving explanations, you even know that yourself. So, that doesn't give you the right to say it so heedlessly. Whatever. Since I'm so bad at explaining myself, I'll just have to show you the truth that I've always sought. While you're in this house, you'll be able to see it, my life and therefore my truth. Seeing it with your own eyes should be much clearer than any explanation I could ever give. And meanwhile, do as Violet says and recover properly. I don't want you to mention any of this again before you're back in positively tip-top shape. The longer it takes you, the better. 3 hearts for Rue. Long live the Queen. Good afternoon, Sink. I see you're already feeling better. After some exercise and a shower, you meet Violet downstairs. You've grown so used to your new routine that you've almost forgotten the initial severity of your injuries. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Rue will be coming to eat with us later, so I've got a cake baking in the oven. It'll be done in a jiffy, so I'd love for you to join us. It takes you a second to react, but you nod, still slightly puzzled. In the meantime, since we have some free time, is there anything you want to do? No, not really. Now that I think about it, I should have told you my recipe for the chocolate cake. It's my specialty, you know. On the subject of teaching, I do recall I never got to finish that class we had. Class? You mean when you told me how magic works? So you remember, I owe you an explanation about magic circles. I could never forgive myself if we left you ignorant. You don't need to if... We can talk about whatever you want later, no worries. Let me do this for you now. Violet gives you no chance to decline her proposal, reading you like an open book.
Come on, help me out. Let's make some magic circles.
You start right in the living room, using chalk to draw on the floor. You're concerned this might be difficult to clean up later, but when you ask Violet, she insists you go through with it.
Mandalas, or magic circles as they're called here, are akin to a signature. Each person draws them differently, and they must always infuse a part of themselves into their creation.
Oops.
Do you remember how I told you that magic is an extension of your own ego?
The circle is a way to leave part of one's ego in a place or object, which allows one to bypass the typical problem of distance. Violet pulls a strand of hair from her head, accompanied by a small and adorable yelp that gets a laugh out of you.
You laugh now, but this is part of the process.
She brings the hair to touch the circle, and after a moment of focus from Violet's part, the circle begins to shine faintly. You watch entranced as the circle absorbs the hair until it disappears.
Not only does your circle need to be personalized, but you also need to literally leave a part of yourself inside. Depending on the difficulty of the spell, people tend to use saliva, nails, hair, or blood. In extreme circumstances, even worse objects can be used.
You know, the thing I was thinking about was fingernails. I would think that's much easier, or even saliva. If you have the option of saliva, why choose hair?
You can think of the circle as like inserting your own line of code into a program. It is an order that comes from your will, reducing your ego into a single wish. But for that, an ego needs to exist, an active consciousness that gives life to that idea and keeps it alive throughout. That's why besides just drawing the circle, you need to focus too, pouring in your consciousness so as to give it an existence of its own. And that shine is the confirmation of our success. When the aura adopts a new form, it releases energy in the form of light. Now, what we need to do is to keep it in our subconscious. Otherwise, the circle may dissipate if a long period of time passes without anyone stoking the flames, so to speak. Overall, think of it like a bonfire, just one in your mind.
As Violet washes off her hands, she opens up the Q&A panel for you to satisfy your curiosity. But what if I raise the circle? This is just chalk after all.
As long as you have it in your mind, it cannot be erased.
You could forcefully destroy your own circle, but traces of it will always remain behind. Once coated with your aura, circles don't disappear so easily. It takes quite a bit of time for them to dissipate, even after the caster's death. That's why you can draw it with whatever material you want. It doesn't even need to be a circle for it to work, though this one has the traditional geometry. I believe the circular shape arises from our ability to connect circles with human faces, thereby giving that particular shape the capacity to give life to inanimate objects. Some books say it's because the circle represents completeness. After all, the final objective of a magic circle is to represent your own ego in its own microcosm. So basically, more than anything else, circles have to be made in a way that is compatible with our subconscious.
You're catching on. Anyway, don't forget that this is still magic, so it tires you out just like any other similar spell. The main advantage is that you can use it at any time from any distance. The main disadvantage is that if someone really desires, they can usurp the circle for their own use. However, you would immediately realize your circle was being stolen because just like any other spell, it's still an extension of your own body. No matter where you are, you'll notice if it disappears or if something happens to it.
I see, and this circle we just made, what's its specific effect?
Nothing important. It was just a test run. We're not in danger or anything.
You saying that last part only makes it worse.
Don't be silly. Come on. I'll show you a few more examples. As I said before, every magic circle is highly personal, but I may be able to teach you some simple spells that you can control on the go.
During the next few minutes, you learn how to make a circle as well as some of the particularities that go into a successful creation. You learn fast, shockingly fast. As you draw, you feel a sense of familiarity and ease, as if you've done this before. You unlock the Watchman Circle spell. In fact, you remember now, there was that strange place you came across during your exploration of the city. Drawing from that memory, you're able to create another circle too. Oh, the Paralyzing Circle. You feel as if you've seen another circle around somewhere, you're just not sure where. Going back to that area could help refresh your memory. The memories flood your mind until a ringing alarm breaks you out of your trance.
Oh, did you hear that?
Violet checks the clock and elegantly darts over to the kitchen. Shortly after, she announces that the food is ready. You follow her in to find Drew is already waiting at the counter, positively fluttering around Violet. His face is as expressionless as ever, but it's very easy to guess what he's probably feeling. Violet manages to put him at ease, giving out clear orders and putting you two to work setting the table. All the tension from before seems to have vanished. It feels like the world itself decided to take a break, just so it could have this serene tea party. Where's the grub? Where have you been all this time, and how exactly do you manage to appear so quickly whenever there are sweets in play?
I'm a man with principles.
Change them.
You two have come a long way.
The atmosphere surrounding this unusually peaceful scene is one of thorough relaxation and cheer. The fragrance of freshly baked chocolate wafts through the entire house, the physical manifestation of hospitality and warmth. The cutlery and plates on the table have been perfectly set on the table, crowned with beautifully carved teacups as embellishment. Violet insists on adding tiny, elegant decorations as the finishing touches to the cake, although Rue keeps stealing small bites that ruin her progress. After one too many nibbles, there is a very visible angry pout on Violet's face. Rue can only attempt to evade her complaints with increasingly stupid excuses. In the end, the man ends up grounded in his own pen, far away from the food. Violet pulls you closer instead, cracking jokes about him that she laughs at herself. You can't help but interject with witty comments and remarks of your own. Before you even realize it, you discover your own face is stretched wide with a silly grin. As if the entire world was reduced to just this happy bubble, where each second of time that passes seems to be drawn out to disorienting lengths. The migraine hits your head, the same one you've had so many times before. The memories assault you and make you lose your sense of reality. There's something different here. Feelings of peace and ease, yet at the same time, a terrible sadness. A single tear rolls down your cheek. In its wake comes a tide of overwhelming nostalgia, which you clumsily attempt to conceal.
Do you remember something, Sink?
Violet carefully cuts a slice of cake and puts it down next to you. Immediately afterward, you feel her hand gently resting on your shoulder. I don't know.
That's a good sign. You should feel lucky.
No, I don't know what's going on. I don't. It's as if we
were a family. Isn't that right?
The couple invites you to bite into the cake first before they take their own portions and start to joyfully savor the chocolate. A momentary silence falls over the room as everyone digs in. It is a most common conversation, a most common tea party, a most common life. But up until this moment you had never known how much you desired this.
So, how does this world taste, Sink? How is the taste of my truth that you so wanted to know?
Rue reaches across the table, already going for seconds. Despite everything that's happened between you and him in the past, he seems to be in a placid mood today, even voluntarily opening up to you.
This was the cake Violet always baked for me, the reason I fell for her sweets.
And fell for my heart?
Don't get corny now, we have a guest.
Rue looks away, hiding his expression. With the passing of the hours, inner feelings and hearts are slowly exposed until you can at last visualize them clearly. All the while accompanied by the aroma of chocolate. There was another case nobody was interested in, some foreign guy who only had his sister and family. My job was nothing but protocol, work as the intermediary and coax the girl, calm her down, just like I'd done with so many others. Just another name in a long list whose faces always end up losing hope. But I was wrong. She received me with the greatest warmth, even as she tried to hide the redness of her eyes. She made me try the most delicious chocolate cake I'd ever tasted, even while I just recited my usual empty speech. She made me promise to meet her again. She trusted me even though we were complete strangers, and I knew there was no way out of this case. But it didn't take long for me to keep my word. To encounter someone so innocent in a world where any trace of justice was nothing but a bad joke. I thought she would soon get tired of me, would soon lose trust, would soon give up just like all the others. But what I got was someone who would never leave me. Not even the passing of the years could dampen her enthusiasm. I got mad, so mad that my own rage forced me to take action, to try to dig out the faintest of clues. Also, I could give her some news, any news, no matter how small. To have an excuse to try her chocolate cake and to see her face. But just as I suspected, There were no leads, no one willing to collaborate, no one looking to risk their lives for a nobody. A grim reminder of the nature of truth in this world. Surrounded by the darkness of this world, my only salvation was the loyalty of a single woman. Love is nothing but another alignment of interests, two parts that require something from each other. That's how I always understood it. And in this case, I, the one supposed to save her, was saved by her instead. The solace and comfort we found in each other was at least enough for us to no longer feel alone. From that moment onward, I didn't know what love was anymore. I could never put a name to what I felt. But that was enough for me. A home, a family, the flourishing and blossoming wishes of those I always hated and never understood. A new truth that didn't belong to me, but that I adored. After so many years looking for truth in others, I ended finding truth in myself. I wanted that time to last forever. I wanted to make memories that could keep me going. And the rest were only the happiest days of my life. At the end of the story, crumbs are the only edible things remaining on the table. Rue stands up, looking out the window.
It's a wonderful night. We should go out.
Rue and Violet don't even bother to clean up the dishes. You follow behind them at a slow pace. The sky above silently darkens. There is no birdsong heralding twilight, nor any traffic rumbling through the streets. Outside the house, you now remember where you truly are.
It's just like I taught you with the circles. Don't you think so, Sink?
You don't understand her question and furrow your brow.
Leaving a part of yourself in something to make it yours, to touch his heart, just like I did with Rue. A process in which people become family.
Become family. We did it, right?
Of course. This house is proof of that. Proof of what we had, what we recovered, even if it was only for a little while. After all, what would you ever do without me, Rue?
What would I do? I guess the same I've always done so far. Move the heavens and the earth if I must, just to spend one more second together with you. So, Violet, just one more time.
I know. No need to say it.
Violet takes a moment to suck in a deep breath. Her radiant aura expands out from her body, surrounding her in its veil, and with a single snap of her fingers, roaring flames, towering several meters high, engulfed the house you were in just a few moments ago.
The house!
Come on, Sink, they're going to challenge you at duel. You lunge forward, but Violet shakes her head. She has no more need for words.
The circles We've already discovered our past. It was our mistake to want to preserve those memories as they were, but that dream is long over. It's sad, but it won't be the end, not as long as we have each other. Sink, this is the inexorable decision I feared so much. The moment you have to choose between two members of your own family.
Sink, this is the truth of why I followed you. The truth I fought so hard to protect. The symbol I care about that matters everything to me. It's right in front of you. For the sake of this woman, I'm willing to fight against the whole world. To me, the incident was a blessing that brought her back to my side. That's why I opposed you in the beginning, why I stalled for time with whatever means at my disposal. Because I needed you, because I'll do anything to live in a world where she exists. Now our time limit is approaching, and just as I suspected, in order to keep that dream alive, I must return to the nightmare. No hard feelings. This is the truth of this world. Violet is unable to look you in the eye. Rue remains stoic as always. Sink, here and now. Violet and I challenge you to a duel. I occupied a place in her heart. A single gesture, an invitation for you to make the first attack. No preambles or tricks. The two of you stand face to face, only separated by a few meters. You take a single step in the wrong direction and an immense wall of fire flares up right next to you. Your skin flushes from the radiating heat. Violet blocks the path with a simple flick of her fingers, manipulating the flames at will. They want to keep it a 1 versus 1. This isn't your first time doing this, huh? Even after all those moments you spent together, the couple managed to close their hearts in an instant. That skill doesn't come so easily to you. The rules are simple. The emotions can wait. You must fight, or else all that awaits you is oblivion. This is the truth they so wish to show you. Giving up is not an option. You wield your dagger with determination and walk towards Rue. 1 step, 2 steps. The distance between you shrinks, yet it remains unclear who will be the first to attack. Not that Rue seems to mind. He doesn't carry a single weapon, or only a simple pair of gloves. But that doesn't mean you can let your guard down. That was the first thing you learned from him, after all. Always stay alert. When all that remains between you two is a hair's width, your knife is the first one looking for blood. The dagger's tip grazes Rue's clothes, but with a simple touch to your wrist, he's able to knock you off balance and prevent you from reaching him. You expected something like this. Your movements are nimble enough to avoid his grab. You focus your power to your legs, continuing your momentum with a kick. Rue does not dodge, but neither does he take the blow. He continuously parries your attacks with the smallest of gestures, turning your own weight against you, until he eventually manages to grab your arm, pull you close, and slam an incredibly powerful knee straight into your stomach. You feel the urge to vomit. You double over, your vision blurry, about to collapse to the ground. But Rue doesn't give you the chance to scream. His punch, boosted by his incandescent aura, sends you flying several meters. When your back slams into the pavement, the rough concrete scores your skin as you tumble down the street. I know that's not enough to finish you off. Come. You pull yourself to your feet, struggling to calm your breathing. Rue repeats his initial provoking gesture. Now you understand his fighting style, based around counter-attacking. He uses his own magic at the precise moment he strikes back to amplify the force of his fists. Even with your agility and speed, you don't think you can win in hand-to-hand combat. For now, all you can do is stall for time. However, they clearly won't just leave you be. I never said this would be a fair fight. Summoned Capatas emerge from his side, quickly blending into the shadows, accompanied by their trademark shrill laughter. You are surrounded. If you don't attack, they will attack you. Even if these creatures are not strong enough to pose a significant threat, you are afraid of running out of stamina. You inspect your surroundings, especially keeping a close eye on your enemies. Violet in particular does not seem interested in interfering, aside from using her flames to cut off any escape route. It looks like I have no other choice. You start sprinting back towards Rue, getting ready for a direct frontal attack. You can see the man prepare himself, obviously pleased by your choice. Several Capatas get in your way, but you efficiently get rid of them without losing any speed. Until once again you and Rue are face to face, mere inches away, the steel in your hand hungering for an opening. You see his counterattack coming, directed at stopping your blade. However, your move was nothing but a bluff. You push away before your dagger can be intercepted, immediately switching to attack his legs with a low sweep instead. Rue jumps just in time to dodge your foot and uses the distance to counter with a powerful punch that you barely manage to avoid in turn. Now it is your time to counterattack. He shouldn't be able to avoid a direct lunging stab at this distance, or so you thought. He grabs your arm with his free hand, then without even looking, his punching fist swerves to grasp the back of your neck, leaving you wide open for his knee once again. Even now, you can't help but admire the mastery and elegance of his martial arts. Contrary to his looks, his movements convey a perfect harmony, a particular mix of lethal techniques only he could pull off. This is a style you cannot surpass, a style you cannot defeat. But neither did you have any intention of doing so. The hairs on your skin stand on end, your aura glows in the night, and a small buzzing sound propagates all throughout your body until it suddenly explodes. I've wanted to do this for the longest time now. Your body emits a powerful electric shock that paralyzes the both of you. As your muscles spasm in the current, neither of you will be able to move for a limited span of time. The first one to recover will gain the advantage to finish the other off. It's a risky bet, one that Rue clearly relishes as a challenge. A major mistake. The instant the effects from the electric shock dissipate, you let your body fall to the ground. I never said I'd be fighting fairly either. The whistle of a gunshot passes over your head and Rue is suddenly pushed back a few steps away from you. At the end of the street, sitting on a lamppost, is a silhouette currently in the middle of reloading a sniper rifle. However, Rue does not seem affected. He opens his closed fist and blood-stained metal shavings tumble out onto the concrete. The bullet did not fail. Rue was able to stop it with his bare hands. I was waiting. I knew it was you. Another direct shot aimed directly at Rue's heart. This time he stops it with his left hand. You can see it with your own eyes, the inhuman reflexes the moment of impact. Rue's eyes and fists glow with aura, an aura that gives him the strength to squeeze the bullet until it shatters. It's a sight that would leave anyone speechless and hopeless. There's nothing he cannot stop. Anyone but you. Even if you can see it coming, there is a limit to how many things he can stop at the same time.
Rue, behind!
Your knife finally manages to taste blood as it stabs into Rue's side. You took the opportunity between the first and second shots to stand up and attack from his blind spot. Those reflexes of his are of no use if he cannot see you in the first place. Unfortunately, your celebrations are cut short as you're forced to retract your weapon and jump back. Violet manipulates the wall of fire to force you to back off, creating a window for the couple to escape. When you try to follow them, small pieces of paper with strange drawings are littered along the road and explode as soon as you get close. It is too risky and you prefer to let it be. There is someone you need to talk to first. Your partner, Pistol. You felt it. You knew it was him. In spite of your differences, your lives are still connected. You just had to run such a way off. Making it all the way here in time was quite a challenge. How are you doing, Sync? So you came after all. I wouldn't allow you to die just because we had our differences. We share one life, remember? I do not care if you hate me. We must cooperate to stay alive. Is that true, Thistle? Thistle plays dumb, raising his eyebrows. I'm sure you've heard about it already. I almost died in the hands of the woman in white. It wasn't a duel, but my wounds wouldn't recover. Aren't I supposed to be a tulpa? Aren't I supposed to be immortal? We can talk about that at some other time, but for now we should focus on the battle before us. Yes, the battle, and then what? Are you going to tell me the damn truth, or are you going to say you truly know nothing, that maybe I'm just an exception? And then just continue this disgusting game like nothing happened? Do we have any other options? Thistle grabs the tip of your hood and looks directly into your eyes. Our lives are tied together, Sync. Do not forget it. If you want to die, then keep complaining. Keep making a fuss until you send both of us to the grave. Or you can survive, hold it in for one more day, even if it's just for the chance to tie the rope around my neck with your own two hands. Which option do you think will bring you closer to the truth you talked so much about the other day? You slap Thistle's hand away and turn away without saying a word. Perfect, I see you understand. Now for the hardest part. Let's try to get out of here alive. After using a spell to heal yourself, you're ready to continue the fight. It doesn't seem like they will take the initiative to attack you for now, so you have some time to talk and prepare yourselves. I imagine you already know what's going on. We're connected, or whatever. True, so let's get down to business. From here on, all that's left is to survive. The battle is about to begin. Are you ready? Relocate slots? What does that mean? Oh, that, what's that? A shield. That's not bad. I don't really... Do I need the dagger? Let me actually check. Easier to wield, perfect in combination with something else. You know what? I think we'll get rid of the spear and get the shield in instead. And for magic... Wait, let's actually get rid of everything for now. How many available slots do I have? I have just 5. That's ridiculous. I need first aid. What do these down here do? Inferno. Burns everything down to deal damage in exchange of half of the user's stamina. If boosted, it uses all stamina except for 1 point. The more stamina used, the higher the damage. That sounds cool. What's the Watchman Circle? Draws a circle on the floor that allows the user to see what happens around it, no matter where the user is currently located. Can't be drawn if the user is attacked. Disappears after a long time has passed. That's actually pretty useful as well. It's only 1, but that I can't use all 3. Like, ideally, I'd like to use these 3, but I don't have enough slots for it. I need health. I need the Inferno. I don't. I'll take the circle. And Fortify. I'll take Fortify as well. I'll take those with me. Yep. Alright, let's go.